Having pets is an awesome experience. Take it from me, there's nothing more satisfying than having someone that would cuddle up to you every night and love you unconditionally. That's why I got 2 dogs and I get double that. Yes, you do get that from humans as well, but the upkeep is a bit more expensive. Also, they talk back to you a lot. Though it doesn't matter how much love and affection you show your pets. There are still instances where their instincts kick in and do something that you're never gonna imagine them doing. Which is, maybe eat you. Reality is they are capable of doing so, and here are the stories to prove that. Number 1 is truly a cautionary tale, so stay tuned for that. Here are pet animals who ate their owners. Our first entry is the real-life Mason Verger. You see, a man from Oregon was actually eaten by the pigs he was raising in his farm. Now, it's not really known if the pigs were actually the cause of his death, but there's no doubt that he was eaten. Only his dentures and bits and pieces of him have ever been found. According to investigators, 69-year-old Terry Vance Garner went out one morning to feed his pigs, but he never came back. A family member later found Garner's dentures and pieces of his body scattered throughout the hog enclosure, but most of his remains had been consumed. It was possible that Garner had a medical emergency, such as a heart attack, or was knocked over by the animals before he was killed. According to the victim's brother, one of the sows bit Garner once the previous year when he accidentally stepped on a piglet. Aside from that, none of the other pigs showed any inclination to violence. In fact, Garner had taken care of the pig since he finished his tour of duty in Vietnam. Domestic pigs aren't really known to be aggressive, but as this case shows, anything can happen around animals, even the ones who are well cared for. Our next entry is a not-so-gentle giant. We've already established that even the most domesticated and most cared of for animals can turn against you. Those chances more than double when we're talking about trying to domesticate animals taken from the wild. Marius Els, age 41, an army major who lived on a farm alongside the Val River, had raised the 2,645-pound bull hippopotamus from the age of 5 months and said the animal was like a son to him. Humphrey, the name given to the hippo, was rescued as a calf during a flood on the river and given to Els after he grew too big for the people who had initially adopted him. Els had reportedly been warned many times that Humphrey was still a wild animal and had to be treated with caution. Hippos, which have huge, sharp teeth, are among the most dangerous animals in Africa, known for being territorial and highly aggressive. But of course, he would have none of it. He always maintained that the sound of his voice would bring the hippo home, and described Humphrey as lovable and a gentle giant. Actually, to his credit, there is a YouTube video called I Love Humphrey, My Pet Hippo, and it shows how close Els and Humphrey have become. The video shows Els feeding Humphrey apples and even riding him in and out of the water. The video has since been taken down because, well, one day Humphrey showed his wild side when he suddenly attacked Els in his enclosure. He bit Els repeatedly until he had passed. The hippo had already shown signs of aggression prior to the attack. In fact, Humphrey was actually blamed for attacking and killing calves belonging to Els' partner, and the animal also broke out of its dam enclosure and chased golfers at a nearby club. But despite all the signs and the warnings, Els never thought that Humphrey would be capable of such violence. Hindsight is still 20/20, I guess. Our next entry is a lethal menagerie. A lot of people nowadays are preferring to keep exotic pets at home. I guess they think that cats and dogs are just too boring. Although having 2 myself, I really can't see why. Maybe they want to smash the mold and be unique? Show off to their friends? Seem really responsible? Who knows. I do know one thing for sure. If you keep deadly exotic pets at home, sooner or later it's gonna bite you on the behind. Figuratively, and possibly literally as well. In 2004, German police were called by neighbors to check on a man named Mark Vogel at his apartment. Apparently, his neighbors were complaining about a horrible stench that was coming from Vogel's apartment. The police knocked, and when they heard no answer, they broke into his apartment, only to find a horrible scene. Vogel was laying lifeless on his couch. He was covered with cobwebs, and there were even spiders coming in and out of his mouth, nose, and ears. His apartment was in complete disarray with all of his pets out of their enclosures, milling about freely in the apartment. Vogel's pets weren't actually what you'd call typical. He was really into the exotic, and he had several large reptiles that he allowed to roam freely in his house. He also had tarantulas, one of which even decided to create a web as big as a bird's nest on the ceiling. But the authorities think that the culprit that caused Vogel's death was Patina, his pet black widow spider. They believe that Vogel must have been bit by Patina, but being the learner that he was, opted not to seek medical attention. It is believed that Vogel had been lifeless for 14 days before the police came to his apartment. 14 long days with animals that were getting hungry by the day. I think you could guess where I'm going here. The reptiles, which if you remember was left to freely roam around the house, eventually took chunks of his flesh. Also the termites, which were meant to be tasty snacks for his spiders, escaped from their enclosure and started feeding on Vogel as well. The way things were going, there would have been very little of him left if it weren't for the police finding him. Now it's time for the day's best pick, which is a truly disturbing photo of a large snake that had a bit too much to eat. Given the topic of this video, I'm pretty sure what's running through your mind right now. But the real question here is this photo real, and did the thing that you're looking at do the morbidly bad thing that you're actually thinking about? Let's find out next with Swallowed by a Python. The photo you're seeing right now of a snake with a massively distended stomach was posted back in 2013 on Twitter with the description of "A python ate a person who was drunk and lying beside the liquor shop." Just to keep it short, this photo was a hoax and has been attached to many stories in the past. One of these stories involved a woman who was supposed to be swallowed whole by a python in South Africa. But of course, that is also not true. But there is one incident that is quite similar but 100% true. The culprit, however, was a wild snake and not a pet. 54-year-old Watiba went out on the night of June 14, 2018 with a flashlight to check on her vegetable garden. This was located in a rocky area on Muna Island covered in caves and cliffs thought to be swarming with snakes. Tiba went because wild boars had been raiding her corn and she wanted to stop them, but it was there that the 23-foot-long python attacked and swallowed her whole. Her family and other villages went looking for her the next day, but found just her belongings, including her sandals and machete. About 165 feet from these belongings, the search party found a snake with a bloated belly. They promptly killed the snake and carried it back to the village. When they cut open the snake's belly, they found Tiba's body still intact with all her clothes. She was swallowed whole, at first. This, however, doesn't mean that pythons regularly hunt and attack people. On the contrary, although they are extremely strong constrictors capable of asphyxiating a full-grown human, most pythons don't grow to a size that's capable of swallowing a man whole. But if the person was small enough, then the python is big, perhaps more than 20 feet long, it's possible that a python could first kill and then eat a person, as proven by this case in Indonesia. If you do have horrible nightmares about being swallowed whole by big snakes, then whatever you do, please don't visit the forests of Indonesia, or any village sitting next to a forest. There are actually 2 cases of fatal attacks of pythons on humans recorded in 2018 alone. The second one involved a 25-year-old man in West Sulawesi province who was attacked and swallowed whole by a python. So yeah, I might want to stay away from that. Before we move on, do me a favor. My analytics show that only about 15% of you watching are actually subscribed. Come on guys, what's up with that? Can you guys please hit the subscribe button? You guys watch my videos every day anyway, so you might as well subscribe and keep up to date with every video we put out. Our final entry of the day, the pug life. Pugs are tiny dogs. They're kinda lazy, don't move around much, and they tire easily, so short walks are perfectly fine. If you want a pet but are too lazy to do a lot of pet owners' responsibilities, I suggest you get a pug. Though, one word of caution, make sure you don't die locked in your home with only pugs as company. Why, you might ask? Well, they're literally gonna eat your face. In 2013, a man from Wichita, Kansas died in his home with only his pug in the home with him. No one knew that the man had passed away, and no one had seen the man since January 1st. The apartment's maintenance man only came to his house on January 14th when a neighbor called him and told him about the missing man, asking him if he could possibly open a window so she could feed the dog who was incessantly barking. When he opened the door, a gruesome sight greeted him indeed. The dog had apparently been feeding off his owner for the past few weeks and had actually eaten away all the soft tissue of the corpse's face and had already started feeding on several parts of the body. In another incident, this time in Nebraska, 2 pugs named Harry and Sally also started feeding on their owner's corpse after he passed away of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. It also took 2 whole weeks before the man was discovered. Okay, it is wrong of me to single out pugs this way. The fact is, any dog breed as well as cats are capable of doing such an act. They're just acting on their instincts to feed and aren't at all vicious. Know of any other pets who ate their owners? Let us know down below in the comments. Also, make sure you also check out the other amazing videos. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Later, everybody!